How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another show of Legends of the Unknown. We have Frank here with us tonight. We also have Matt.
Hello, guys.
Frank, tell us a little bit about what we want to dive into tonight.
So, was planning to do some Native American folklore, etc., but then I got sidetracked onto North Carolina and talk about a hotbed. As the Deep South tends to be the Carolinas, Georgia, etc. And this evening, it kind of said all of the stories I was able to find centered around Asheville, North Carolina. So not only does that town look actually pretty beautiful place just to go visit, but it's got several cool stories to go along with it. So, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy.
Well, let's dive into it.
All right. So the first one I came across, Helens Bridge.
Okay.
This one, I don't know. I'm a little iffy on being the skeptic, but then again, especially with this one and then the others, makes me really want to go visit and check it out. So, and especially this Helens Bridge you'll talk about, they say it's definitely got some higher than normal paranormal activity.
Okay,
So,
that's pretty intriguing.
Yeah. So, the backstory, they say in the early, they didn't say exactly when this incident happened to this gal named Helen, but the bridge itself was constructed in 1909, obviously in Asheville, North Carolina. There was a young lady by the name of Helen in her mid-30s. She moved to Asheville with her infant daughter, and one evening while cooking, a fire started and quickly engulfed the house. During her escape, she passed out due to smoke inhalation.
Okay. And
she was not able to obviously save her infant. I think it was, they said infant daughter, some stories said infant son, but everybody says infant.
So there's one fact that's just it's an infant.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. So firefighter, which I found strange because this whole resuscitation thing, but anyways, firefighters were able to resuscitate her, but not the child. So any young parent in general, obviously very distraught,
right,
and so forth. So, say obviously this started her downward spiral into depression and et cetera, et cetera. She battled with severe depression for several weeks. Makes sense. And eventually became too much for her to bear. She goes out for a walk in the woods and comes across this bridge, and this bridge is actually near Zealandia Mansion. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It was not going to go into the backstory of this mansion type deal, but the bridge was, short backstory, the bridge was built as an access to the mansion for a railroad. So, so she comes across this bridge while she's out hiking. She's just, the depression is too much to bear, and so she just hangs herself.
So she goes out to try to clear her head and then ends up hanging herself. I mean,
yeah. Well, you can speculate clear her head, but I'm thinking she went out with an intent to just kill herself.
So, I believe I've heard this story before, and the reason why I say that is because you bring up the mansion. Not sure if you've really heard much about it, but I believe the mansion actually has some paranormal backstory to it as well.
Wrong mansion.
Wrong mansion.
Yes.
Okay. Because there's another one out there that there's a bridge that is connected to this mansion that has all this paranormal. So wrong bridge. Okay.
Yeah, wrong bridge, wrong mansion, and that one I looked at too. That was not the Rockefellers. It was one of the big railroad baron type, one of those type names. The mansion you're thinking of.
Yeah.
And I read that story, and that was like a pretty cool story too about why do ghosts gravitate towards pools? Like in the story I read,
Because of water.
The most haunted spot in that house is the pools, and I'm like, why?
Water is it's said water contains, it retains like memories and just noises, sound, that kind of stuff. So it's like a conduit almost.
Then I am not drinking water again. Ever.
So water holds, I don't want to say electricity, but holds like a current per se, and that's what drives into that.
Yeah.
But so I just looked this up. Did you see where the Helens Bridge is the most haunted place in Asheville, North Carolina?
Yes.
Okay. Goes back to what you were saying with the fire. I couldn't imagine living, you know, survivor's guilt, whatever you want to call it, you know, being a young parent, and that would be so horrible. And then on top of that, to compound it with said incident, I can't believe that. But it goes back to why this place is haunted is because it's a traumatic event at that point.
Yep.
What I was trying to research was see if this lady has ever, quote unquote, saw jumping off the bridge, if anyone has eyewitnesses of that. But I'm looking at the picture of the bridge right now, and it's pretty terrifying. There's one picture right now that's at night, and man, it just looks creepy. And there's actually an orb picture, it looks like.
Oh, didn't see that one. Yeah.
Well,
In the daytime, it looks like a picturesque bridge.
Yeah.
The thing about bridges is that they're usually meant for, they're usually used for suicide because they're such easy access points. Or, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Golden Gate Bridge being pretty much a suicide bridge because people just go off and jump because it's pretty much guaranteed death if you jump off of that. So that and like the Goatman's Bridge in Texas, there's a lots of stories about bridges just being haunted in general, just because of that sole purpose, that not an intentional purpose that they were made for, but just that people have found it is an easy escape.
No, and it makes sense. I mean, sure, what, how are ghosts or apparitions or so entities created?
Right.
Goes back to that, they're unsettled, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, it makes sense.
I would actually like to go and see this bridge.
Yeah.
This is a crazy. We're going to have pictures, obviously, but just looking at it right now, there are 3 pictures right now I just have that actually have orbs in the picture. So the one picture I see could be the one photo I see is actually grass on top of that. It's like a walkway now.
Yeah.
Or it could have been then too, but it's a walkway. It has grass and there's an orb floating in this picture.
No, and they, what's in the 70s? If I'm memory serves right, I didn't write this part down. In the 70s, they were going to, they being the Highway Commission or the State Highway Commission, so we're talking about tearing down the bridge to put a highway through or around Asheville. And the townsfolk said, hell no,
Keep it.
GTFO, yes, keep the bridge, and they were able to, and it's now a big tourist draw, obviously for this reason, and look at the pictures.
Right.
Yeah, so.
That's pretty sweet that the people of that town came together and was like, nah, we're not taking this down. But it goes back to the Mothman, what we were talking about. If this story gets out, Asheville, from my understanding, isn't a huge town in North Carolina.
Tourism.
Yeah.
So yeah, tourism.
Exactly.
It's a huge hotspot for people just to come, like we were just talking about. I'd like to go visit that someday. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So, this young lady named Helen, she does her deed, and since that time, people who have driven either through the bridge or near it have recalled dealing with a lot of the stories point to car trouble, despite no prior issues with their vehicles. symptoms like instant drain batteries, the engine stalling, and various other mechanical issues were reported. However, people who came to the bridge to summon the spirit would also experience car trouble as they left. And that was regardless of whether the spirit actually presented itself or herself
Right.
or not. They did supposedly experience car trouble as they left, which to me, whether that is just a story, somebody being disappointed and make something up or not, I mean, it's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, oh yeah. And that tale keeps that legend alive as far as people want to go and try it themselves.
Yeah.
Because, small story that I have, we went to cemetery. It had a glowing tombstone, but when you got up to it, it was at night, when you got up to it, it wouldn't glow. You could only see it from the road. So it had a private access way, and we ended up actually getting stuck in the access way. And our car, the headlights weren't turned on, or something like that, something crazy. It just made the trip to that haunted, quote unquote, haunted tombstone that much better.
Yeah.
But a few years later, they took it out because there were so many people going back there to check it out that people were vandalizing and stuff like that. So they ended up trespassing it, so forth. So, and then they ended up taking the stone out. But there's so many legends on how not legends, but theories on how it glowed and so forth. The light, but it was the only one that did it. So, who knows? But, getting back on the topic, I don't know if you have read this or saw this, but at this bridge, if you get out and you start chanting, Helen, where are you?
3 times.
Oh, okay, 3 times.
Yeah, you have to say Helen, 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 and supposedly, how many times have we heard that whole story?
Right.
It's like Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
Going in the school bathroom. Yeah.
But it says you'll be able to see her with rope burns around her neck. If you're mean and say something like Helen is a bitch, then your car won't start for about a half hour because she's pissed off at you.
That sounds like an absolute teenage story.
Yeah.
College kid story right there, but.
All right, and this is actually a first-hand experience right here from what I'm reading. This one came out of Hendersonville, North Carolina. So I don't know the geographical layout, but this person went September 13th of 2020, went to Helens Bridge. They also said something about the Devil's Stomping Grounds and the Pink Lady. Did you read anything about that?
Haven't heard that one, but that sounds like a brothel to me.
That might be. Who resides in the famous Grove Park Inn. So, good then. So, diving into this legend, how many Crybaby bridges have you heard of?
Oh my gosh, we had one in our county.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, there's one, I think there's somewhere around here as well. And it's the same old story. Some lady
Kill themselves.
Yeah.
You can go see them if you do a chant.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you think that has merit to this one? It's just a different.
To be honest, no. And I thought about that while reading this story because though they never mentioned her last name or her specific
The
name.
other one I was trying to find was what her actual name was.
I can tell you her name. It's right here. Maybe not. Hang on. My bad. I misspoke. Apologize. I had it up before.
So to answer your question,
Go ahead, sorry.
this one, to be honest, this has more merit than this was. And I kind of wonder if this one started that trend. Just because the way the story is told in multiple different versions from multiple people, I mean, the amateur detective in me really thinks there's too many coincidences between the stories. And so forth, and too many connected dots, and the fact that many of the townsfolk remember either the incident itself or have been told by their parents. So
Passed down.
exactly.
So are you saying you're not skeptic?
No, I'm saying I am a skeptic of the haunting, yes, but of the incident of this
The
gal
actual-
named Helen
Gotcha.
doing it. No,
Gotcha. You believe that?
yeah.
Okay. All right. I was gonna say, breaking news. Last week he was a skeptic. Now he's on board with it. What do you think?
Like again, I think that it's always possible for anything paranormal to happen, especially when you have something like that. If it actually is true and she did hang herself, right? That's sudden death. They're not gonna cross over that easily, and I mean, some people might. There's no way to prove if you're gonna transition to the next realm of whatever is out there peacefully after you kill yourself. But it has been seen that a lot of people who have killed themselves stick around, and in that general vicinity of where they killed themselves. So
Yeah.
I think it's all ultimately possible that people have seen stuff, whether it's stuff that is already put into your brain before you go there. So you're trying to see something, and if you catch maybe a glimpse of something, that's automatically paranormal,
Yeah.
right? So that
Yeah.
definitely could be something as well. But again, at the end of the day, I think that it's one possible that her apparition's been seen. I think it's possible she might still be there. I think the chanting 3 times is bullshit.
I'm with you.
That's everything.
But I would like to know more about her backstory other than just, how her end was, right? Like the only thing that I can find on her is just that she owned a mansion, fire happened, daughter died, she killed herself.
No, I didn't read that part where she owned the mansion. There was another story that was very similar. It's to her that as far as this Zealandia
Yeah, that's what I saw.
mansion, she was actually the mistress of the owner, got pregnant, and then the guy basically shunned her and told her to go away because any inheritance.
Right.
And that's when she went and did it. So that's, but the most recurring one is she moved into town somehow with a child or got pregnant shortly after that kind of deal. So.
See, and that's where I draw kind of a conflict with a story like that too, is where the lady comes in, or male, whoever comes in, no one knows them, and then a week later they're gone. Like, in my mind, did that really happen, or did 4 drunk guys come up with a story and it just took off from there?
Like Kevin.
Like Kevin.
That's
all true.
That's
It was all
true.
We're gonna have an episode about Kevin in the future.
You know what the thing is? Kevin comes up in almost all the podcasts, and no one has any idea what Kevin is
Or who.
Kevin.
or who.
I mean, he mysteriously appears in front of doors.
He does.
As proven last night.
He does.
And moves very loudly.
He's a weirdo, Kevin. He's not-
Yeah.
He moves.
Yeah, moves. Yeah. So, what's your final thoughts on this?
Was that
I'm
a
a-
question or a statement?
Question, because in my mind, I'm gonna go with, it's kind of Crybaby Bridge thing. I think it's a story that it may have happened, but people took the legend itself
Ran with it.
and ran with it.
Could
What are your
be.
thoughts?
I can kind of see that. Yeah, but I'm curious to hear what you're thinking first.
Well, like I said, I don't like disproving someone else's experience of the paranormal, right? So if someone said they saw something, I'm not going to say, well, no, you fucking didn't, right? So
Right.
if someone's actually seen her ghost, sure. I mean, until I've personally seen something, I can't really say for sure if I believe it or not. That being said, I say it's true until something,
Somebody proves otherwise.
unless I go there and I don't feel anything. Even then, though, it's like going to the Mansfield Reformatory. You're not guaranteed to have an experience somewhere. And you can be open to it. The issue with being open to something is you're more likely to take something that isn't paranormal and label it paranormal if you're extremely open to it, right? So,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind like doing like if we did do like a road trip down there and did like just a couple hours at the bridge, just doing EVP sessions, just to see if we can capture something. That's the way in my mind that I go about proving something is there, is by getting physical evidence, not just hearing stories and stories of people telling more stories, right? So
Yeah.
that's just
I guess that's where I'm coming with it too. Is I do believe that there are probably paranormal experiences there.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that there's not. I think the story itself was just,
Embellished.
well, yes, but like after so many years, you know, it gets twisted, or you know, it's kind of like the telephone game where, well, he said this, and then they run with it, and it evolves into this whole story where like the lady like shows up with burn marks around her neck, or you have to say Helen 3 times. You know, I think that stuff that has been added over the years, you know, I would say that's debunked. But as far as the Apparel Moment stuff, I'm with you. You know, I can't discredit what someone else is saying because that's their experience. It's not mine.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. And to be honest, I have kind of high hopes for this one. As a skeptic, I mean, all the stories I read sound pretty cool, and she's a friendly ghost. The worst she does is just mess with your car. I'm okay with that. So she doesn't haunt me,
right,
you know. I'm kind of like, all right, maybe this is fun.
Helen, I'm not good at working on cars. Can you help me get this thing started again? Thanks.
give me a free insurance claim.
Yeah, how would that work? You should tell your insurance. Like, you're never gonna believe
my
this.
car, man.
You're never gonna believe this story.
All right, before we process this claim, we're gonna need you to pee in the cup.
Yeah. When's the last time? But how crazy would it be if you were standing there and you, let's say you did everything that they tell you to in this legend,
Mhm.
and this lady just appeared right in front of you?
Well, no, that was some of the tales. People saying that, you know, they just stand there and all of a sudden, boom, she's right there.
I mean, that
And
gives me
she
chills right
starts-
now.
And she
That's the
starts
case. I'm whipping out my phone.
telling her
taking a
story, asking like, "Hey, have you seen my daughter? I'm looking
No
for my
shit.
daughter." Yeah, that was part of the whole.
Dude, I got goosebumps. That's crazy.
You're so burnt, I can't.
Yeah. You can't see the redness.
But yeah, that was some of the story. Like she just starts, "Hey, I'm looking for my daughter. Have you seen my daughter?" Oh my god! And then she just starts crying and so forth. So
That would be kind of creepy, though. I mean,
That almost sounds
And then-
residual, not an intelligent type of deal, right?
Yeah.
Like she's.
and then they say if you like, she'll appear a bit away from you. You know, they didn't give a specific distance, but you know, I would say like 20 feet. As soon as you try to approach her, she disappears.
really.
Yeah. But she will stand there and be like, "Hey, you know, do the whole story. See my daughter, whatever it was."
Right.
I mean, now I really want to go.
Exactly.
Because I always thought about this too. You ever heard the stories about like people driving past graveyards and there's a lady walking and
Yeah.
they take them home and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean? They've been deceased for 10, 15 years.
And then they hop in the back of the car.
Yeah.
Type deal or whatever.
So I always thought about that, like,
And true love is born.
right? You'll never believe this, but like even when I drive like
Oh,
past,
man, guess what, man?
yeah, where's she at? I
Alright,
don't
we
know.
can keep going. Sorry, it's your story.
But if you drive past the cemetery at night, this is just me thinking, like, what would you do if you saw someone walking in, like, past a graveyard? Like, the stories they say, like, they're real, they have conversations and so forth, and then they take them home, and they go knock on the door, like, hey, I have your wife, whatever. Well, she's been dead for 10 years, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, obviously that's kind of a legend story. But
Yeah.
that's, that's the story that goes around. Like, dude, I think about that all the time. Like when you're driving, like, man, what if I do if someone literally just popped out? It's like, hey, can I ride? No. Sorry if you're real or not, but I'm not giving you a ride. I'm going home and I'm leaving this alone.
That's
What if they tell you, I can only move on if you give me a ride?
No.
The believer, and you wouldn't help.
No.
That reminds me of the black-eyed children, right? Where they're like, hey, can you please, did I tell you about that?
No.
I think I sent it too. I think it was one of the topics that we were supposed to go over, but it's the same thing where they come to your house in the middle of the night, they knock on the door, it's usually 2 or 3 kids. They'll stand at your door, they have all black eyes, and they'll pretty much ask, they'll ask you, we got a lot.
All black eyes? No, I'm sorry, that's the Evil Dead right there.
They say, hey, we got lost. Can we come in and make a phone call? And if you let them in, legend is they're demons. So
Yeah.
So you let them in, and then
You be taken away or whatever.
So.
No, I'm good. I don't care if it helps me move on, whatever. No.
Where's your heart?
In my chest, and it's going to stay there. I'm not going to be haunted for the rest of my life. No, I'm good.
I've never felt threatened by the presences I've felt at both houses, so I just feel like it's just it might be a family member, that's still watching out over me. That's my personal opinion on it. So I feel like if it is a negative spirit, it would show itself in a negative way at some point instead of brushing the back of my neck. Cool. It doesn't intimidate me at all. Right? Like
You kind of sit there for a second.
just thinking about what happened, trying to debunk it. That's where my science mind goes, and then my believer mind. Once my scientific mind can't disprove it, my believer mind's like, "Holy shit, that happened!" Damn.
All right. That's all we got for this legend.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.